No one has lost the state of Arizona more than Donald Trump. He keeps losing again and again and again, even worse than he thought. For months, the former president has claimed that the sham partisan audit in Arizona's Maricopa County would reverse the results and somehow declare him the victor. But overnight, a draft report of the so-called air quotes audit by a group calling itself the Cyber Ninjas found that not only did Donald Trump lose Arizona, but he lost by even more votes than previously realized. In other words, they found he was an even bigger loser than the first time around. But here's the thing. The news here isn't that this proves Joe Biden was the legitimate winner in Arizona. He already was. It didn't need confirmation or affirmation by the Cyber Ninjas. It was based on sham questions, this audit, and sham concerns, and the results of which, and maybe the goal all along, was to raise doubt, to make people believe that something might have been stolen when it was not. And that quest continues. Donald Trump demanded that Texas, a state he won, investigate its election. And overnight, just 8.5 hours after getting his marching orders from his leader, Governor Greg Abbott complied with his leader. The state will now audit the 2020 election results in 4 counties. And one result of all this intentional doubt, violence. We saw it on January 6th. And also this morning, the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection has issued its first subpoenas for documents and testimony for 4 of Trump's closest advisors.
Now, there is also breaking news in the search for the fiancee of Gabby Petito. A federal warrant issued for Brian Laundrie, but it's not connected to Gabby's death. We also have new information about the last time that Laundrie saw his parents before he vanished. And we have reporters covering every angle of this story this morning, beginning with CNN's Kyung Lah in Arizona. Tell us the latest there with this confirmation that really didn't need confirmation, Kyung.
Well, what you're talking about, Brianna, there is the draft report. This is something that was released overnight. It had been floating at the county level for a few hours when suddenly local press started to print it out, and we also had access to this. It is the draft of what we are expecting will be a final report presented to 2 Arizona Republicans in the Senate, and that will be the final report. So that's what we're expecting in just hours. But let's go over what's in this draft report. It is a hand count that you guys are talking about, and that bigger loss for Donald Trump. Joe Biden picked up 99 votes per the Cyber Ninja count versus what Maricopa County officially found. Donald Trump lost 261 votes. So you heard John talk about he being a bigger loser. That's what he's talking about. This immediately drew a statement from the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, the chairman, Jack Sellers, saying this means the tabulation equipment counted the ballots as they were designed to do. The results reflect the will of the voters. That should be the end of the story. Everything else is just noise. Now, I read through this entire report, and I can tell you that the rest of it, the depths of it, is really a lot of conspiracy spaghetti thrown up against the wall. And that's what they are expecting later today when that final report is presented. I want you to take a listen to another member of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, Bill Gates.
I call it a show trial. I mean, that's what all these have been up to this point. It's a Soviet show trial. Democracy is not the word I would use, but a theater show of an attempt to steal an election, or at the very least to sow significant doubts in our election system.
And so that's what we're anticipating to hear later today, but it will be that final presentation, the end note of the Arizona audit.
All right, the end of a period of theater there in Arizona. Kyung Lah, thank you for that report. We're going to be coming back to you throughout the show. Donald Trump's campaign to destroy confidence in America's elections is also taking hold in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott caving to Trump's demands. The state now auditing 4 counties covering cities like Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Plano. And Sarah Murray is joining us now to talk about this. Why does Donald Trump want audits in a state that he won?
You know, that's a great question. I mean, obviously, none of these audits are actually going to change the result of the election. But in this case, the former president, is still throwing these temper tantrums. And this is, a pretty quick turnaround from him sending this letter to Texas Governor Greg Abbott to just last night. This press release kind of came out of the blue from the Texas Secretary of State's office, essentially saying, oh, we've already begun. We've already begun audits in 4 counties. Those include Harris County, Dallas County, Tarrant County, and Collin County. 3 of those counties went for Joe Biden. Only 1 of those counties went for Donald Trump in the 2020 election. And I want to just show you how the former president is still spinning this big lie. In this letter that he sent just yesterday to Greg Abbott, he says, we're quickly running out of time and it must be done this week. Texans know voting fraud occurred in some of their counties. Let's get to the bottom of the 2020 presidential election scam. And what Trump was asking for was for the Texas governor to consider put legislation in the special session to say we're going to move forward with these audits. And it kind of seems like Abbott went one step further and said, essentially these are already underway. I think the worrying thing is, we're 10 months out of the election. There was a lot of time to relitigate the results if there were actual concerns, around the election. The Texas Secretary of State's office said they ran a fair and secure election. And we're just seeing this continue to proliferate and be pushed by Republicans. We're seeing it, of course, in Arizona where they're announcing their big results today. But we're also seeing it happen in Pennsylvania. We're also seeing it happen in Wisconsin. This is really a big line for Republicans right now, and it's also a way for them to sort of show their loyalty to the former president.
It's very revealing about what this may actually be about. Sarah, thank you for that report.
Joining me now, CNN legal analyst and Republican election lawyer Ben Ginsberg. Ben, thanks for waking up for us. You call what happened in Arizona overnight a crippling low for the claims that the former president has made.
Yes, absolutely, John. In Arizona, they brought their partisans in to do an audit. They created rules that shredded the normal credibility that you give to audits. They took money from partisans. And still, they could not prove that the election was fraudulent or rigged or that Joe Biden didn't win. So all in all, this was the state where Donald Trump had his best chance to prove the outlandish theories that he's had about the elections being fraudulent or rigged, and they swung and missed yet again.
If they keep on auditing like this, maybe they can get Alabama to flip to Joe Biden at the rate they're going. Look, in all seriousness, though, Ben, I think if one is discussing this as if it is an affirmation or confirmation of Joe Biden's win, we're doing it wrong. And that's not what you're doing or I'm doing here. The issue here is that this audit had no grounds to begin with. This was a sham from the very beginning.
It was, but it was their best shot. So here's the silver lining in this audit and in what the other states are doing. I think it's crazy for Republicans in other states to see what happened in Arizona to do their own audits. But there is a silver line, which is 30% of the electorate does not believe our election results. They are believing Donald Trump. That's not sustainable in a democracy. Every time they're going to try one of these sham audits in a state, they're going to find the same thing, which is the results are accurate. And that's the way you're going to get Trump people to stop believing the big lie. Give Trump his chance to prove it. They've swung and missed every time so far.
Maybe, although I happen to think that the questions themselves are what perpetuates the big lie, because the questions are baseless, by and large. The way that they raise it, the fact that they did the audit is what helped foment these questions in people. So the audit, to an extent, has already served the goals of the people who are behind it, was to create the questions that never should have existed to begin with.
It has, but as more people see that the audits are indeed shams, that they don't prove what Donald Trump said, in fact, they refute what Donald Trump has said, then that's the way you get the 30% to take a second look at the whole idea. And look, there have been some really effective studies in Maricopa County on the vote, and it shows that it was Republicans who abandoned Donald Trump at the top of the ticket. Republicans won down ballot. They did not win for Donald Trump, did not vote for Donald Trump. And so that's the phenomenon where the Republican Party eventually says, we're losing our base, we're losing our supporters with this crazy talk. We may be appealing more to Donald Trump's base, but we're going to start losing elections. So this is ultimately a ballot box decision to get rid of the big lie.
But Ben, it took 8.5 hours in Texas, 8.5 hours, 8.5 hours for Donald Trump to write a mean note saying that Texas should audit this election, and then Greg Abbott buckled. In 8.5 hours, now they're doing a forensic audit of 4 counties. It doesn't seem like Republicans are willing to stand up to the pressure.
It's not yet. Like I said, it's an election that causes it. They're not. But if this audit, which is doing 2 Republican counties and 2 Democratic counties, comes up as empty as the Arizona audit, which I think it will, then that, again, is a ringing confirmation that the only thing fraudulent going on here is the claims of rigged elections and fraud.